RJ Kozane, and you are watching another episode of PGHR Talk for pghmuseums.org. This week we are in a meditation room in the North Side, and I had the pleasure of sitting down with filmmaker and podcaster, content creator, Willy James. He has a sleep podcast, and I love to sleep, so listening to that before the interview was lovely. Waking up in the morning to speak with him, even better. We'd get into Ask Pittsburgh, a little bit about QED. There's some Rick Sebak stories, which I know all of the Pittsburghers watching this love. Right after the break, we're going to sit down and we are going to chat about all of it and so much more.
Step back in time to see history through the lens of a camera with 2,000 cameras on display at the Photo Antiquities Museum of Photographic History. Historic photographs of the Civil War, Native Americans, the World Wars, lantern slides, spirit photographs, stereo views, and more are available at the Photo Antiquities Museum of Photographic History. The Photo Antiquities Museum also has a special collection of rare photos of Pittsburgh's shantytown, a makeshift poor Pittsburgh neighborhood built during the Great Depression. Throughout it all, I noticed in every picture, no one seemed to be smiling. So I asked museum founder Bruce Klein why.
Yes, so nobody smiles because the exposure time was 30 minutes. And that's why everybody looks real stiff, because you can't hold a smile for 30 minutes. In addition to that, they usually had neck braces behind their head to keep their head in place, because again, 30 minutes, you would move your head side to side, your photo would be blurry.
Can Bruce smile for 30 minutes?
No, I don't think I could do that for more than 4 or 5 minutes, I'm sure.
Explore the nation's only 19th century photography museum, including everything from the first photograph in 1821 all the way to digital, right on Pittsburgh's North Side at the Photo Antiquities Museum of Photographic History. Learn more at photoantiquities.org.
Hello, I am RJ Kozane, and you are Willy James. This is a filmmaker, yes, with pghmuseums.org. This is PGH Art Talk. Thank you for getting us this meditation room.
Oh, thank you for, coming and filming this interview. Like, I'm really excited for it. So I was like, what would really fit, like, the vibe I want to encompass for 2020? And I was like, well, a meditation would be perfect. So I called up my buddy John, and he was awesome enough to let us use this room. So, yeah, thank you, John.
Yes, thank you, John. I told you before we started rolling, this is goals, because I just meditate on my couch, and so I'm getting all kinds of inspiration in here already.
Yeah, what it reminds me of is, I can't remember which neighborhood it is exactly, but there's, it's on the east side. There's a meditation stable. It used to be a horse stable, and on Sundays in the morning, they host free meditation sessions where basically you go in and you just you meditate for 60 minutes. There's 30 minutes of sitting meditation and 10 minutes of walking meditation and then another 20 of sitting. So when I saw these mats, I was like, wow, that really reminds me of that place. And I'm happy that that's a thing. So,
Yeah.
I love meditating. I've done it since I was young, and I've started increasing my practice now that I'm much older, and
Yes.
I love it as a practice. I feel like it's a radical practice to just sit and
do nothing. And the world is so busy, especially with these phones that are in our pockets all of the time. It's good to chill out. It's good to be in here. And tell me the name of that place after we turn this off, because I need to go there.
Oh, so the name of it is actually the Shambhala Meditation Center.
There it is.
Shout out to them.
Yes.
They're really awesome people, and I think they want to make the world a more mindful place.
Yes. I need that.
Yeah, it's part of what my goal is as well. Is so I'm launching this new podcast. It's called the Pittsburgh Sleep Podcast.
I listened to some of that last night.
What did you think of it?
It's very soothing. I love it's the ambience of Pittsburgh, right? You go to certain locations and just film it, and whatever happens.
Yeah, exactly. So it's just I record these different sounds, and I include some storytelling in it, because what I realized is that if you're recording sound, there's a certain point where it's the sounds of the street on the north side, it's going to sound like the sounds of the street, the south side. And
Right.
So it's
vastly different.
You can't distinguish them. So the thing that's going to be the most distinguishable thing will probably be like distinct sounds.
Yeah.
That, like, oh, I know that sound of that pothole on that street. Or narrative. So that's why I'm like, okay, so narrative is going to be very important. When I interview people, I have them pretend like they're in a room full of people who are just sleeping. Okay. So that way they're speaking a little bit above like a whisper, and they're just talking about, I give them the creative freedom. I'm just like, talk about whatever you're inspired to talk about.
Yeah.
It could be from your childhood. It could be the reason why you started cooking. It could be literally anything. Mm-hmm. And it's not limited to just business owners or, filmmakers or anything else, storytellers, but just people who are neighbors, like people who are on the north side or anywhere in town. I'm north side biased because I'm from here.
Shooting here today.
Yep. It's the easiest to just like get around for me because I ride my bike, I walk, take the bus. So yeah. I'm a pretty simple person.
Yeah, and the one I listened to was Suba's. I've never been in there, but you like painted the picture perfectly because you did in the beginning. I don't know if you opened a door or what happened, but you're like, the sound if you've been in Suba's. And then the sound plays, and I was wondering how you got whoever you were talking to. I don't remember. Who did you talk to in Suba's? He was so chill.
Oh, yeah. So there was, on that particular episode, there was Deo, and he's the owner. He's probably the one that you're thinking of, and yeah, his voice is really soothing and
super chill too. So telling them that they're sleeping, like in a room full of people who are sleeping, that works. Period.
I'm really happy. I recorded like the entire day that day, and I hit up a lot of different locations, and so. Originally the concept was going to be like what you heard of that Suba's episode is actually going to be well over 60 minutes. And it was going to be just like a whole auditory experience of all these different locations bouncing from place to place. Yeah. But what I realized it'd be probably better to segment it. So it's like, all right, have an episode out a week, maybe 2 times a week, have it on one location. So that way it's easier to share as an experience. It's like if I go to, Subas, and I'm like, okay, as Suba, I'm like, okay, how do I promote myself more? It's easier if there's like an episode that I can just link people to that, it's directly that versus an amalgamation of things.
Right.
So just like from a social media marketing perspective, I was like, okay, it's better to segment it. It's better for me to just like edit it to the way that I would like it to be and just have it out there. Because otherwise I could spend forever in the edit. Everybody knows
with these I can spend I have to limit myself. I made a template that I can just edit for the podcast version of this. Otherwise I'm spending, I think the first episode I spent probably 4 hours, which is not that much time to edit something, but I don't have enough time in the day. I had to work more efficiently. I was like, I cannot spend all day because I can definitely do that. With a song, I don't stop.
Yeah. Because it's like, I feel like it's like artists, they have this idea of like perfection, and they're like, all right, I'm going to strive for this.
Always. And it's not there.
It's not there. Once you do it, you're going to keep trying to tweak it and tweak it and tweak it, and you'll do it forever,
Yes.
There's a few times where I'm like, oh, well, this is perfect just the way it is. And then like a few days later, I'm like, actually, that could have changed. I could have fixed that. And then there's a really good technique that I've heard, and most people who do editing utilize this unconsciously anyway, so they want to show people. But if you're editing something and you want to know if you're trying to figure out, okay, should I have the scene in there? Just show it to somebody else, and you'll know instantly while it's happening, while it's playing for them, oh, that shouldn't be in there, or that needs to be fixed, or that's perfect just the way it is.
I've done this with lyrics where I've recorded it and then I will play it for someone, and I'm like, oh, that's a no. Like, it just feels really awkward.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's a really good tip. whenever you are a filmmaker,
Yeah.
and tons of videos on YouTube. I was watching Ask Pittsburgh last night, and like the range of things that you cover, from what does Mac Miller mean to you, Anthrocon, you've done a few videos with them, uh, dating in Pittsburgh. When you think up like what you're going to film, is it just like, I'm going to go out and do this one day, or is there like a method to your madness when you're creating it?
I think a large majority of it is just spontaneity, where I'm like, that inspires me. And then I go out and I do specifically that. And it would probably benefit me to be more methodical. And that's why I'm trying to dial it down to just two things. I want to do the Pittsburgh Sleep podcast, and I want to do Ask Pittsburgh. And I have another project that I'm doing with my buddy. It's going to be a podcast called Neighborg. It's going to be really awesome. Shout out to Jim. So really, I'm focused on just producing things now, just like getting things out more often, because it's very easy to like get caught up in the like perfection trap, like we were talking about before. And yeah, right now social media is like a quantity game. It's like how much stuff can you put out, and
do you feel that pressure as a content and film creator?
Yeah,
to just keep pumping?
Definitely. And then I beat myself up for like not having pumped out more. And like the reality is that there's gonna be slow periods. There's gonna be times where it's like, I don't feel like being active right now. And I don't think that there's anything wrong with it. I think we all need to take a break. And now I'm kind of getting into the period where I'm like, okay, I want to start driving it. I want to start like really putting in a lot of effort, because it's just a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun to create these things. It's a pain in the butt, because like
projects always are.
Yeah, because it's just like you're like you know, it's like always being connected to your phone, you know, and sometimes it's it's actual work, you know. Like social media never seemed like personal stuff to me. It always seemed like work stuff, because I started socializing at the same time I started doing like freelance stuff. So then the people I would meet would be people who I'm like looking to like do things with and create content with and collaborate with. So it ended up being like, real work. It started from the very beginning for me. It's always felt like work. Okay.
And do you think it's like a beneficial tool, or does it hinder? We have this conversation with a few people, because I think different sections of the art world see it differently. Like for me, music, it's not so much like it's just audio. What do? Here's the link, download the SoundCloud mixtape, and then that is that. Whereas like a painter can throw it up and it's Instagram and it's there and it's like, here it is, buy this. And then film, it seems like it helps a lot more than it's like a burden. And especially for networking, I think everyone can network on social media, and that's been great. It's how we started talking before this interview, and how I've talked with most of the artists that I met around the area. But does it help more, or is it more of like is like a necessary evil?
I like that question, because there's an element of social media that is actually really beautiful, which is like people connecting with one another. And, you know, I've seen many people who, when they're going through stuff, they put it on Facebook and people are there to support them. Like they comment and they're like, you know, I'm sorry you're going through this. If there's anything I can do, you know, like they really show love. And that's a beautiful thing. And that's one thing that it's hard to replace, because it's like a public square where you're able to go to the people that you know and you can speak to them in mass, versus like seeing a few friends individually and, you know, telling them and them being sympathetic and things. But it's like when you can reach everybody, it's something like you have like this like cascading, like this networking effect. It's really nice to see. But also with social media comes comparison, and
which is everywhere.
It's everywhere, because like you're comparing yourself to other people unconsciously. Many times I feel like we're doing that. And then people are, you know, sharing their comments, and their comments might not necessarily be what you think that they should be. And like, so you have a mixed bag of things. It's like not good or evil. It's kind of like a neutral thing because, well, everything in the world is kind of neutral if you look at it a certain way. But yeah, I think that social media, so you take what you can get and don't let it beat you up too much.
Golden words. And then you take these connections and you go out and like into the real world of Pittsburgh, because it's Ask Pittsburgh. And there's a few people who make spots here and there. I've seen Sarah and Murata, who we love, in a few videos. And for the most part, it seems like just walking up to people asking what they think about something. So how do you make I'm going to go up to this person. I'm going to go up to that person. I'm going to do this. This is my goal. How do you like make that initial connection to whether I should maybe not talk to that person or, I'm going to go to this
That's
person.
a good question. There's very few people that I wouldn't do like some kind of collaboration with. Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, I think a lot of it is just like something like clicks and I'm like inspired by it, where I'm like, what if I did a video with so-and-so and so-and-so? What would that look like if I just like put that all together and just like let it ride? And sometimes it's like I'll hear a suggestion from somebody else and they say, oh, you know, doing a video on that would be really cool. And I'm like, well, yeah, you want to be a part of it? Like, sure. Like,
let's do it.
Yeah. So a large part of it is like that spontaneous, like, let's just do it, you know, like, let's see what's going to happen. And that's what I love about Pittsburgh, is that it really does seem wide open to do these like different video projects and things like that. And everybody has been tremendously cool. Shout out to Rick Sebak. You know,
we all shout out to him.
He's an amazing person. And we did like a few different things together. I'm reminded of one that I had a theater viewing at the Melwood Screening Room. I don't know if it's still open, but it's really cool because it's run by a friend of mine now, and he's like, hey, do you want to come? Like, you know, it's called I can't remember the exact name of the program now, but it's basically a filmmaker comes and does a screening, or they do a show, and they have pizza and you just invite people, and
yes, please.
It's like really cool. There's beer. So I did one of those shows, and I like organized this whole thing around it, and I have this thing called the Cool Club that I would do occasionally. I want to do some more of. So you might have seen like the newsletter you mentioned.
The most elusive thing I've seen on the internet is joining your newsletter. First of all, side note, so I don't even know where I found it, but it was like, what is it called?
It's called the Pittsburgh Cool Club.
Okay, so it's like pittsburghcool.club, and you go, there's nothing. And it's just like type in your email.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay. So I did it. And then it's like, confirm your email. Because of course, okay, I got nothing. And I was like, I don't know what the heck I signed up for. But I guess I'm in a cool club. Am I in a cool club?
You're in the cool club now.
What can I expect being in the cool club?
Yeah. So I host these like occasional meetups. And when I put out newsletters, they're very like... I write like I speak. So it'd be as if like we're talking right now and you're just getting that in your email. Like occasionally it's just like random.
Spontaneous.
There is no methodology to it. It's like every Friday. It's just like when something inspires me, I write. Mm-hmm. And so, but when I do write, it's usually like, there's quite a bit of like original stuff in there. It's just like references and people and little bits of Pittsburgh culture and things like that. So I hope to like bring people together by being somebody who is accessible. And, you know, it's like, oh, okay, like, yeah, Willy, I've hung out with him and we did this, and like, oh, he has a newsletter. Okay, well, what's he writing about? Oh, he's writing about so-and-so. He knows so-and-so. We should all meet up sometime. Nice. You know, like, I want it to be like a very community type of ordeal. And so I was hosting this theater show, and I was like, that morning, I was like, you know what would be cool? Because I had these occasional meetups. I had like, I've hosted 2 so far. I would like to host a lot more. And I was like, it would be really cool if Rick Sebak could like make the announcement for what the next meetup is going to be. Okay. So I called him up And I'm like, "Hi, Rick Sebak."
As you do.
How are you? And he's in the, he was in the hospital at the time,
Mhm.
and I said, "Hey, do you think it would be possible for me to drop by and film this shout out of you saying like when the next Cool Club meetup is gonna be?" And he's like, "Yeah, sure, come on down. Like, yeah, let's do it." And so I get there, and he's like, "Hey, so I have this lunch ticket." Because he's like, you can give it to like a visitor who
Yes.
comes to see you.
Okay, so we are in the hospital. Like, time has not changed. Okay.
Yep, we're in the hospital.
Okay.
And so he's like, I have this lunch ticket, and yeah, because I show up later that day. So I call him that morning. And I'm like, I show up at the hospital. It's in Oakland, and he's like, yeah, for this lunch ticket. And he's like, you want to hang out? Then like we could order lunch, and then I'm like, oh, awesome! I get to hang out with Rick Sebak. Like this is like the best thing ever. So we filmed the shout out, and we show his leg and his leg. Nobody had seen his leg.
I haven't seen the shout out. I need to see this.
There's a video up on my Facebook page of like the actual theater viewing, and you can hear people. Because like what I wanted to do is like I want everything to go to black, and then I wanted Rick Sebak's iconic voice to come in, and that's exactly what happened. It's like everything went to black, and then all of a sudden you heard nothing, and they're just looking at this black screen. Then you hear, when you're in the Melwood screening room, you never know what you might see. And then you can hear people's like reactions to it. And then all of a sudden it shows his leg, and nobody has seen like what his leg looks like. And then it goes up and he said, "Hi, I'm Rick Sebak, and I'm at McGee Women's Hospital, and this is what's going on right now, blah, blah." He said, "I want to announce the next Cool Club meetup." And everybody like laughed.
That is good.
And so like I like to do things like that, and there's gonna be like so many different like I want to bring people together in like ways like that I haven't seen. So that's what I hope to do with like the Cool Club and the Sleep podcasts. And like if you notice, like everything is like it's like niche. It's like I want to do something in a very specific way well. And so I'm striving to do that for this year especially.
Nice. Rick, hi. We're here with Willy James. This is pghmuseums.org's PGH Art Talk. We have this lovely video version of it. There's also a podcast. If you head over to the website, whichever way you want to watch it, stream it, please do it. We have a members program too. It is $20 a year, gets you some percentages off admissions to galleries, museums. You can take a class with Tom Pottery. We have a million affiliates. Punxsutawney Weather. I love them. I've never been there, but when I found them, we are like a volunteer ran thing. So in the beginning of all of this, we were just like scouring Pennsylvania, trying to find all of the galleries, all the museums, and we don't have them. So if you're not on the list, please contact us. But
subscribe.
I found this, subscribe, all of the things. But we found this like weather source in Punxsutawney, and I was just like, this is the quirkiest, like cutest thing in the world. So definitely shout out to them. But back to you.
Yeah.
Willy James is here, filmmaker extraordinaire, podcaster, content creator, and WQED worker at one time. Speaking of Rick,
I was a Next Generation fellow under Minette Seat, who's one of the producers there, and she's been with WQED for quite some time. Yeah. Like, my dad actually did something with WQED as well, and he was under Chris Moore, and I remember him describing Minette, and I'm not sure if I ever told her this, but he said that like Minette is like the young up and comer. Like she came in, and then like she was like really like she's really popular. Like she's the stuff. And I was like, wow, I can't wait to meet her. Like because I talked to her on the phone before, and then I finally meet her, and she's like just an extremely intelligent lady, and like she knew everything about like TV production, and just like so laid back. And I'm really grateful for my whole experience of like being with them and getting to see their process, because it was more of a learning thing than anything. It was just like watching how they work, and meeting one of the producers there. His name is Paul Ruggieri, and that guy has like 30 Emmys. Like it's like
Let us borrow one.
They joking about him like bringing in like a barrel, like what is it called? Like a cart, a cart full of Emmys,
just full of Emmys, pushing it through the floor.
Yeah, and like so seeing their process is like really cool because I never had any like formal training at all when it comes to like media production or like talking or any, like I just like figured it out as I went. I was like, well, how can I be better at this? And so seeing their process for making like a piece of media and documentaries, like it's very different than like what my process is, because I was more like, like let's just go out and film it. Like one thing I didn't know is like on a tripod, like so, when you have a tripod, you're supposed to just like underneath, you screw it underneath and then you stick it on. But what I would do is I would take the camera and just put it on and then I'd just turn it. I just turn it and then
whatever works.
So it ended up.
Brian is laughing in the background. How do you put the camera on the tripod?
Take it off and I screw it on and I
Willy.
Exactly.
I think spinning it is more fun.
Yeah, so I would spin it.
We're gonna try it next week. I don't know who we have next week, but prepare yourself because we're gonna be quirky and weird.
Yeah, so like there's little things like that I'd like miss out on, and when Paul Ruggieri had showed me how to put first of all, like my ego was telling me this, which is like. Because he said, "Oh, I'm gonna show you guys like how to put a camera on a tripod today," and I was like, "I know how to put a camera on a tripod."
You just spin it.
Are you kidding? Yeah, you just like put it on, you spin it, like. And then he showed me the thing, and I was like, "Oh my god!" It was like the biggest realization of like, "Oh, I do not know what I'm doing." Okay, so I need to. It's a good thing that you showed me this because at some point in time that was going to come out, like so.
Spinning it for who knows what guests. It's fine.
Yep.
I'm all for it. If you want to take the camera off the tripod by spinning it when we're done here, I'll film it. We'll put it up. Brian, we'll just shove him in the corner. He doesn't have to watch. It's fine. But I feel you on that too, because I have a background in audio engineering, but I make music and I've segged into like all of these different areas of like music in Pittsburgh. Like I would DJ with WIP or work with like their education system, and I knew nothing about DJing and nothing about like educating and teaching music, and I was just like learning on the way, but had like the techy thingy in the background. And with music I have nothing, so it's all self-taught, and every time I learn something new from someone, it's just like mind is blown.
Yeah,
so it's great. And I don't know what the quirks were whenever I started. I'm sure it was something like spinning a mic on a stand or something. Actually, no, when we set up these stands to interview people, sometimes I'm like, I hope no one's watching because I don't know how to tighten and untighten these. So I'm with you on that. And it is cool to learn in like a professional environment and then take like all of the unique perspective you have from just doing it. And I think it creates like a really unique blend.
Yeah.
And that's something a lot of people in Pittsburgh have, which I really appreciate. It's not just like strict.
Well, I consider myself like, I'm more of a storyteller than a filmmaker.
Yeah.
Because, like, I remember I was like filming some kind of freelance thing, and I had hired my friend Courtney to come in and help shoot and everything. And Courtney has like a ton of equipment, and so when we were packing down, she's like, "Yeah, can you take down that light stand for me?" And whatever. I said, "Yeah, let me take down this light stand." And I was like, I don't know how to take down this light. I'm like, I'm looking at the different joints and stuff. I'm like, somebody didn't teach me this. So I'm like, Courtney, you got to show me how to. So like, there's like tons of things that, I just missed out on. But what I learned is that as long as I just like do it, as long as I just like try, you could generally like figure things out, and people let you get away with it so long as you can make them laugh, or they can connect with you, and you're like, oh, okay, I understand. He's still learning, and so that's always been my thing. Is like if I don't know it, I try to say that I don't know it, and just like, hey guys, just so you know, I have no idea what I'm doing.
Yes. And it's created like this like great hybrid with like your work too, because when I was watching Ask Pittsburgh last night, it was like you're personally in it, And then there's like the professional shots and everything as well. And the subject matter, like I feel like everything is like bleeding into each other, like the spontaneity, the self-teaching, the professional like end of things, what you picked up. And we get to see like you as well as the scenes. There's always layers to everything that you're doing, even from the back end, which is really cool. Like the dating one that I watched last night. Just you've never had a first date as of the filming of that?
Yeah, so I was 23 and I had never had a date. And
making a dating video, never had a date, love it, first of all.
Yeah,
love
so
it. Get the advice.
I was like, I got to get this advice. So that way, you know, because it partially been inspired by my buddy Sam, and he had put it out on the internet, and he was like, hey, how can I, like, where's the best place to date? I was like, that's a great question. So I was like, I'm going to make this video. And this is where, like, the spontaneity comes into things, too. I was like, would you like to be a part of it? Like, would you like to, because you asked this question, would you like to be a part of it? He was like, well, I don't know, because, like, I'm not sure, like, how it'd be on camera. So you'll be fine. Like,
everyone's fine on camera. It's okay.
Yeah, you'll be fine. It's like neighbors, you know? And so we film, and Sam is, like, one of the most interesting people that I've met. Like, he just knows so much about like relationships, and his emotional intelligence is extremely high. So like we stood there actually in the park for like 3 hours after we had already filmed, and we were still in that same spot, just like talking back and forth and back and forth and back and forth, because like I've always cared about like vulnerability and understanding more about the people around you, and like sharing yourself, and because I feel like that's what makes things like really special. It's like when you can make that connection, like not just talking about like, oh, the weather was nice today, but like going beyond that, like, and just being like, yeah, like how's life, man? Like that's kind of how I like to you know, approach subjects and like talk about things. And I think it makes it easier to interview people, certainly, because like you're giving out so much of yourself, and then certain parts will resonate with the other person. So I see a little bit. It's funny because like growing up, I'm seeing like these little hints of truth of life and the different things that I'm doing, and I'm like, wow, there's a connection between this and that. For instance, within dating, the better I feel like you get at dating and like meeting new people and connecting with them, the better you also get in like business. And because it's the same principle of like connection of like, all right, can I connect with this person, and what do we resonate on, and how do we disagree with each other when we disagree, and like all those things are extremely important. So I see it in like in filming and like connecting with people and interviewing people. And then like when I had started dating, that's when I was like, oh, it applies here too. Like it all like, in fact, the better you get at it, like you know what I'm saying? Like you connect better. Yeah. And so that's why like it's always been like a goal of mine to just like be a good connector. And I hope to like become even better of a connector going forward.
I love all the spontaneity that comes with you everywhere, every angle. And I was like, just seeing like progressing years from watching the videos to now, and just like the growth. I love all of it. That is like the theme through this entry. I'm like, I need to be more spontaneous. How do I make this happen?
Yeah, I highly recommend it. Yeah, never let the spontaneity like go too far, obviously, because I sometimes allow my spontaneity to just like take me completely off track. Like there's plenty of times where I'm like, you're just not thinking. I'm just like, why? How did I let that slip?
Collaborations. What can we expect from what is coming up with collaborations?
So like with my collaborations, it could literally be anybody I know. I'm just like, I think this would be a cool project, and then I just reach out to people and then see if they resonate with it. Like with the Pittsburgh Sleep podcast, I can't wait to have more people do some storytelling. So like, you know, having them come in and talk about different things, and I want them to like really reach in there and like tell things that they haven't told before. So Hopefully I can inspire people to do that. I'm going to have like a lot of my friends do story times.
Nice.
I'm going to, with the Ask Pittsburgh thing, like there's so many different applications for it. I'm thinking about like doing an Ask Pittsburgh episode and then doing an accompanying vlog. So let's say Ask Pittsburgh, like what's best breweries, and then take those results and then go to those breweries in the next episode and have it to be a vlog thing. Because like with the series, like I don't get to talk too much about like myself or like express myself as much as like, because I want to blend it in and make it more about the other person. So yeah, that's what the goal will be. And I really can't wait for it because it's going to give me an opportunity to really express myself. And also shout out to my friend Andy, who he had came up with the idea, like, if you do a vlog after you do the Ask Pittsburgh episode. So that's something I've been thinking about. It's still, in the air. So I was like in my head, it's like, okay, I haven't fully applied it yet, but we'll see how it goes.
Yes, I am super excited to see you building these layers upon layers. And everyone subscribe to that channel. Sleep podcast right before you go to bed. Hit the play button. And Willy James, thank you so much for being on PGH Museum's Art Talk.
So pittsburghsleep.com. That's where you can find everything with the podcast and my social media as well. And also pittsburghcool.club, which is the newsletter. So
the most elusive thing in Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
I'm ready.
So if you want to see the newsletter, tune in. It's pittsburghcool.club.
Cool. I'm going to meditate. I don't know what you're going to do.
Yeah,
but thank you so much for being
together.
here. This is great.
Thank you so much, RJ.
Yes, thank you.
Explore some of the region's most dynamic murals in one of the most fascinating venues with the Society to Preserve the Millville Murals of Max Ivanka. The Society works with the St. Nicholas Croatian Catholic Church to provide tours of the 25 murals painted on the church sanctuary walls. A mixture of religious and social commentary can be found with inspirations from World War II. What would it be like growing up in a church surrounded in these murals? We asked docent manager and church attendee Andrew Stefanik.
You'd always be finding something new when you were sitting here during Mass or during other ceremonies, and you'd lose track of Mass, and your eyes would wander about the murals, and you would find something new. And even to this day, every time I come in here, I find something new in the murals.
Is there anything a visitor observed that's new to Andrew?
Absolutely. There are so many. Almost every time, and I would say the best tours are when somebody comes in and discovers something new or points something out new to me. And I would say my favorite parts about the tours that I give is the information that I share that I've gotten from others and gotten from visitors that were no experts or had no specific expertise, but just their attention was drawn to something specific.
Learn how these iconic murals connect you to the past and discover what they could teach you about the present with a tour from the Society to Preserve the Millville Murals of Max Ivanka. Find out more at vankamurals.org. Thank you for listening to Art Talk from pghmuseums.org. Your host today was RJ Kozane, and the program was edited by me, Brian Crawford. Today's music was Wallpaper by Kevin MacLeod and can be found at filmmusic.io. It is licensed through the Creative Commons. Be sure to search PGH Art Talk on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever podcasts are found. PGH Museums is made possible through our members and affiliate museums, such as the Punxsutawney Weather Discovery Center. Become a tornado. Make a thunderstorm. Be a TV weather forecaster. You can do all of this and more at the interactive Punxsutawney Weather Discovery Center, located in the home of Punxsutawney Phil. Learn more at weatherdiscovery.org. We'll catch you in 2 weeks, right here on Art Talk from pghmuseums.org.